Hi everybody, I'm Sara Rampazzi, Assistant Professor at the University of Florida, and today with the PhD student Benjamin Sear we will present like commands, namely how to hack in voice assistant using lasers. This work is a collaboration between University of Michigan and the University of Electrocommunication in Tokyo, Japan. In recent years, we have seen technology develop to give more and more power to our voices. Instead of using traditional mechanisms like mice and keyboard, we can now speak to voice-controllable systems such as Google Home, Amazon Alexa, or even to smartphones and tablets that use voice assistants like Siri. With them, we can perform many operations like setting timers, ask the weather, but also making online purchases and controlling other smart devices around the home, such as thermostats, smart locks, and even cars. These systems work by recording an audio signal with a microphone and using speech recognition algorithms to parse the words out, and then performing commands based on that. To understand how to inject the light signal into microphone, we first need to understand how a MEMS microphone works. These tiny and cheap microphones are used in many controllable systems, our phones and tablets. Most voice-controlled devices have acoustic ports, like tiny holes, visible on the outside of the device. These ports allow the acoustic pressure waves to pass directly to a MEMS microphone, where they can be measured. In many of these microphones, a parallel plate capacitor is formed out of a movable diaphragm and a stationary backplate. Whenever the diaphragm moves in response to an acoustic pressure, the capacitance changes, and this change is then converted to a voltage signal by the onboard ASICs. These voice-controllable systems are designed under the underlying assumption that microphone can capture only acoustic signal, but the reality is quite different. The hard truth is that MEMS microphone can capture acoustic signals and light signals. These sensors are actually capable to perceive more than what we expect, leaving open a potential attack vector. During this talk, I will show you how to inject these like commands into microphone, how to use this capability to send inaudible command to voice assistant system, and to control third-party system connected to them. Then we will show you some new demos of the attack. Finally, I will describe what has been done by the major vendors to defeat this attack and what is still left vulnerable. So how this attack works? We discovered that MEMS microphones are sensitive to light signals. In particular, the output voltage of the microphone is affected by light irradiance, which can be thought as the optical power density of the light. By firing a focusing laser beam into the acoustic port at different bright intensity, we can change the microphone output voltage accordingly. So if we amplitude modulate the light beam, it generates a voltage on the microphone output that follows the input signal in the audio frequency range of the microphone. The higher is the amplitude of the light signal in input, the higher is the amplitude of the output voltage signal, with a very little distortion, as you can see in the second graph. This discovery allows arbitrary audio signal to be injected into microphone and make the attack possible. So how we can inject these audio signals? We take the voltage signal from the output audio of the laptop and feed it into the modulation input of a laser current driver. The driver simply converts the voltage signal into a current signal, which is necessary since the optical power of the laser diode is proportional to the current across it. The laser current driver also adds a DC bias to ensure that the laser diode stays forward biased. The laser is then aimed at the acoustic port of the microphone, where it generates a voltage signal. After this surprising discovery, we're wondering if a smart speaker and other voice-controllable system could react to this signal. So using a laptop, we record an audio of someone speaking a voice command. For example, "Okay Google, what time is it?" We then play this recording, taking the voltage signal from the output of the laptop, amplify it with a simple audio amplifier, and then feed the signal into the modulation input of the laser current driver. The laser driver converts the voltage into a current signal, and by driving the current across the diode, we generate an amplitude-modulated light signal, representing the voice command. When we aim this laser at the microphone port of a voice-controllable system, we verify that the device responded to the light, as if someone had spoken the command. We tested different laser sources for different colors, from infrared to near ultraviolet, and the speaker replies to us every time. You might wonder how powerful is the laser that we use for these experiments. The answer is not very powerful, but can still cause some hazard if you don't use it carefully. Laser can cause very severe eye injuries and skin burns, as well as permanently damage your target device. So we always use the adequate protection, such as laser goggles and lab coats. In particular, during our experiment, we mostly use class 3R laser, namely laser with the same power of a laser pointer, commonly used to play with your cats or make presentations. And we also use a 60 mW power laser, classified in low power class 3B devices, such as lasers that are commonly used in light shows. After testing short-range attack, we sought to investigate the maximum range of the attack. To do this, we add optics to the laser in form of a telephoto lens. This piece of equipment greatly reduced the beam area at longer ranges and increased the radiance that hit the devices. With the help of this optic, just using a 5 mW laser, namely equivalent to a laser pointer, we were able to achieve a successful attack to a Google Home device at 110 meters away. And we were limited more to the space available for conducting the experiments rather than the attack. So we tested 17 devices, from Google Home to various models of Amazon Echoes, to Facebook Portal, to Google Nest Camera, and different models of smartphone and tablets, both Android and Apple. With a 60 mW laser, all the devices were vulnerable up to 50 meters away, and still this was more a space limit more than attack limit. But not only we were able to affect the system itself, we were able to execute unauthorized operation and affect IoT devices connected to the voice assistant. We were able to unlock front doors, turn on and off lamps, changing setting of thermostats, and make purchases. And more worrisome, we were able to open garage door, unlock car doors, and even start the car engine. But why we were able to attack all these devices is due to a combination of several vulnerabilities that combined can cause multiple security issues that an adversary can exploit. First of all, personalization and authentication are two very different concepts. For example, smart speakers are designed to be used by multiple users, so no authentication is present by default, allowing any user to perform critical actions, such as unlocking doors. Only a personalization feature can be activated on these devices. Using this feature, you can train the system to distinguish your voice from other people's voices, personalize the device responses, and execute selected action, like play a certain music when you arrive at home. Other voice assistants like Siri use speaker recognition by default. However, there are two main issues on this type of authentication. First, the recognition can be bypassed using various online tools, like text-to-speech services, for mimicking the owner voice. Second, we discovered that the recognition was limited to only the wake-up word, for example, "Hey Siri," ignoring the rest of the command. For example, when I train the iPhone with my voice and with my strong Italian accent, the same phone recognizes me the wake up words say using 5 different US native speaker voices generated by an online text to speech algorithm. And the rest of the command was spoken by Ben, a male US native speaker. Another factor that we exploit is the presence of routines and apps that can allow the device to do specific things they could not do otherwise, such as combining action that involve multiple devices. Usually some critical operation, such as unlock a smart lock, require the user to speak a PIN number. But with these routines or services like IFTTT, it is possible to bypass these security checks. For example, I can set up my system to unlock the front door when I use the sentence "I'm home" instead of asking for a PIN code. Finally, we encounter common IoT security vulnerabilities. As I mentioned before, some unlocking or disarm operations are disabled by default for our security. And for execute them, you have to set a n-digit PIN, usually a 4-digit PIN, which must be spoken before the voice assistant will execute the action. We discovered that some smart devices does not require a PIN for certain operation, even if they can open a security threat, like open the garage door or open the trunk of a car. And usually we expect that after a number of wrong PIN attempts, the system will disable the feature or raise an alarm or block the operation. However, we were able to brute force PIN numbers, since there was no mechanism to stop the attempts after a number of failed tries. Or it was possible to set a PIN number of just 1 digit, very easy to guess with few attempts. For example, when we attack Tesla Model, we used the EV car application that didn't require a PIN for unlocking doors, neither key proximity. We discovered that some issue with an unofficial app that it was promptly changed after the like commands release that you can see here. In another example, when we attack a Ford car model, we discovered that the official app has no mechanism to prevent brute forcing when used with Google Home, allowing the attacker to execute operations like open doors and start the engine of the car. But stop with the narrative, let's do the attack. Now I'll hand over Ben to show you new demos on recent smart speaker and new IoT devices not tested before. Go Ben!
Hello, my name is Benjamin Sear, and you're currently listening to the raw, unfiltered output of a MEMS microphone that is under laser signal injection effect. As you can see, my voice is being transmitted via laser into the acoustic port of the microphone, where the microphone hears it as an acoustic wave. If I stop the laser while doing something like counting, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10, 11, 12, you can see that the sound stops transmitting.
Hello everyone, this is Benjamin Sear and I'll be going through a few demonstrations using light commands. That first demonstration was just to show you what light commands sound like from the microphone's perspective. The demonstration was completed in an acoustic chamber that greatly attenuates any sounds that enter or leave the chamber. We just happen to have access to the chamber in the room next to our lab, and a few of my demos will be using it, as there's a convenient window to allow light commands to enter. This next demonstration is to give a simple example of how we inject light commands into smart speakers. For this example, we are using a Garagit smart garage door opener. Since I don't have a garage door in this lab, I constructed a miniature garage door using an Arduino, a servo, and a sticky note just to show when the door opens or closes. The Garagit is controlled by a phone app that also shows the current status to the user. But the Garagit also has a skill for Alexa smart speakers, where the garage door can be opened by a simple command. In this case, we're using an Amazon Echo Generation 3, which is a device that we did not test in the original publication of Light Commands. To actually inject the command, we need 4 pieces of hardware. Something like a phone or laptop that can drive an audio signal, a laser driver capable of modulation, a laser diode, and some sort of focusing optics. The laser diode and focusing optics are shown here. These laser pointers are sold on Amazon for around $7 or less and are marketed as toys for cats. We just unscrewed the head of the green laser and attached some wires with alligator clips to where the batteries would be. This is a laser driver I'm using for this demo. This is an LD5CHA driver made by Wavelength Electronics. Its base price is around $340. While I'm using this driver for some level of safety and control, there are cheaper drivers that are less than $100, or more precise lab-grade drivers that sell for over $1,000. The output of this driver is connected to the laser head. Connected to the modulation input of the driver is the audio output of a smartphone. I'll be using this phone to actually record and send the commands. Alexa, tell Smart Garage to open.
Opening.
As you can see, Alexa opens the garage door without requiring any PIN code or other authentication mechanism. I recorded the command to use later and just reset the garage door using the phone app. And here I am resetting it. And now I'm going to plug in the laser in order to turn it on. And you can see it's on. Just to give a little better understanding of what is going on, I'll be using this speaker that comes with a kit called the Light Modulator. This kit is sold as an educational tool and converts amplitude modulated light signals that hit the solar cell into sound signals out of its speaker. As you can see, my command is being transmitted by the laser. And now when we inject the command into Alexa,
Opening.
the garage door opens as if we had spoken the command. In this next demo, we're going to be looking at why these smart devices are vulnerable to light commands. I'll be using the Blink security camera, which is a smart security camera, a class of smart device that we did not test in the original publication of Light Commands. Whenever the camera is armed, the camera will save the audio and video for several seconds if it detects motion. It will then give a notification to the user's smartphone. The Blink camera can be controlled with Alexa, but the interface between Alexa and Blink requires a passcode to disarm the camera, with a limit to the number of attempts. Alexa, ask Blink to disarm.
What is your blink pin?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry, wrong blink pin. Please try your disarm command again with the correct pin.
This makes it very difficult to attack with light commands, but the Blink camera can also be used with the Google Home. It just requires an extra step. IFTTT. IFTTT is a framework that allows users to interact with smart devices to improve automation and create highly customizable routines. It turns out someone has already made a routine to disarm Blink with the Google Home. So if we activate the routine in IFTTT and link Google Assistant in Blink, we can now control the Blink camera with Google Assistant. But this is a problem, as you'll see. So I'll be shooting into the acoustic chamber again, just to show that it's not the sound of my voice that is activating the device, and that the light signal passes through windows.
Okay, Google, disarm my Blink camera.
So I'm turning on the laser and it's going into the acoustic chamber and playing the command. And the Google Home has responded. Here's the same demo, but viewed inside the chamber.
Blink is now disarmed.
As you can see, Google Home with IFTTT did not require any passcode to disarm the camera, so someone could walk in without the camera saving anything. Now, Like Commands also has a few options to be more stealthy and not alert an owner that is nearby. 1. Many smart speakers have very low minimum volume, which makes it hard to hear responses to commands.
Okay, Google, arm my Blink camera. Okay, Google, set volume to 0. Okay, Google, disarm my Blink camera.
Blink camera is now armed.
So now we're setting the volume to 0.
Blink is now disarmed.
As you can hear, there's a pretty big difference between the default volume and the minimum volume. Some devices even support a whisper mode, where a whispered command will produce a very quiet whispered response from the smart speaker. This whisper can even be transmitted via Like Commands. Alexa, tell Smart Garage to open. It's very difficult to hear that response, yet the command still works. In our work, we also took a look at voice assistants on smartphones, as well as how you might unlock certain smart locks.
Your door is unlocked.
While this command can be injected into the smartphone, be aware that voice recognition to activate Siri is always enabled, and the phone has to be unlocked to perform critical actions like unlocking a door. Now that we've seen how Like Commands works, I want to show how Like Commands can be accomplished at long range. By improving the optics with a telephoto lens, which ours was around $300, we were able to perform Like Commands at distances of 110 meters on some devices.
It's 9:43.
And finally, I wanted to show you what a realistic attack might look like. In this demo, we performed Like Commands by firing a laser 75 meters from a bell tower into a room on the 3rd floor of our nearby office building. We injected the command to open the garage door, and Google Home responded.
Okay, opening.
So those are all the demonstrations I have, and I hope that gives everyone a better idea of what it looks like to carry out Like Commands. Thank you, and now back to Sarah.
Thanks, Ben. After more than 1 year from the vulnerability release, Measure Voice Assistant and IoT Devices vendor have applied some software patches to the devices to mitigate this attack. First, they augmented the device personalization features, such as not allowing purchases if the voice assistant doesn't recognize your voice, and not allows not official apps to perform critical operations. Smart device manufacturer of the tested devices patches the software to not allow PIN brute forcing, adding some sort of multi-factor authentication, such as pressing a button to confirm the voice command, for example. However, as Ben has shown in the demos, the attack is still possible in many different ways. To increase usability for the final user, security checks might be overlooked, allow unauthorized critical operations to be executed as we have seen in the security camera demo. Still, some IoT devices operation do not require a security pin to execute them, like the garage door. Also, we saw that even in new generation devices that have multiple microphones, it's just enough to attack one microphone to compromise the device and the smart system connected to it. But more important, independently from the type of MEMS microphones using in these different voice assistants, the attack still affected them all. From the attacker standpoint instead, the main limitation to successfully perform the attack is related to the capability of the attacker to aim at the device acoustic ports. As we saw in the long-range attack demos, the success strongly depends on the ability of focusing and to give the right amount of light irradiance to the microphone. Furthermore, the attacker needs line of sight to the device, not only for conducting the attack, but also to observe the feedback from the device, like observing the lights. Some smart speakers, such as Google Home Mini, has a fabric layer that covers the microphone ports, making it more difficult for the attacker to find the right spot for the injection. However, in our test with Google Home Mini, we demonstrated that the attack can still be successful if the microphone's locations are known and the layer of the fabric is thin. More research questions remain to be answered regarding this attack. One of them is to understand why MEMS microphones react to light in this way. Our preliminary test seems showing a combination of two major effects, the photoelectric and the photoacoustic effect. In the first, the irradiance might generate a photocurrent on the ASICs, which can change the output voltage. Second, in the photoacoustic effect, the light can cause vibration on the diaphragm due to the thermal effects or other light material interactions. Studies this effect help to understand if microphones can be affected by different injection attacks or interference that can cause other security threats. Another future research is focusing on developing software and hardware defenses that make IoT microphones reliable, such as hardware design solutions that can prevent the attacker to have the line of sight to the microphone port, without preventing acoustic wave to reach the diaphragm and compromise the performance of the microphone. A possible software solution is to use multiple microphone data for recognition, checking if the signal captured by the microphones is legitimate or not. To conclude, the like commands demonstrate that sensors can perceive more than what we expect and what we designed them for. Consumer electronics and sensors become less protected against this type of malicious injection attacks because the systems blindly rely on sensor data. The smart speaker can be attacked through these weak channels. Safety-critical applications and systems, such as cars, require a careful software design to minimize every attack surfaces, including from IoT connected to them. And finally, sacrificing security for promoting usability is not always a good idea, especially when all the devices are connected to each other. So this is Like Commands. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. You can visit our website likecommands.com to read our paper and see our demo videos. And you can also contact us at likecommands@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and now we will be happy to take questions.